Did you hear what just happened in Sudan, where the country is about to engage in a civil war? No, probably not. The Western media, of course, they're hiding that from you. Did you hear what Africa did to the US dollar? Probably not. Do you know why? Because the Western media, they're still also hiding that from you. Did you also hear what Russia did to the United States in Germany, where there were more than 20 African countries who have to come forward and say that it is over with the US dollar? African countries have to say that enough, it is enough. We need to start trading among ourselves. No. I doubt you did not hear about it because CNN did not talk about it. Of course, it is because the entire American media, it is corrupt and they all focus on one story, the indictment of Donald Trump.
Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice.
We are experiencing a serious crisis around the world, especially in Africa, where people are about to die, and all the case about Donald Trump having some document packed inside box in its toilet. What kind of people is this? What about the classifying document in Biden's garage next to his Corvette?
And by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage, okay? So it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
Shut up. Don't ask any question. You are not allowed to ask any question. Because it is all distractions from what is really happening. Just imagine that the Western media is pretending that everything is fine from what is happening. That is not even the case. Because things are not fine. I'm not surprised after all, because I know I have to make my own research in order for me to understand what these people they don't want to show us on their media. Things have changed around. The mafia of the US are being exposed out there. Today, all thanks to what is happening in Ukraine with NATO and Russia, we can now get to open our eyes and understand that Africans, we are on our own and we don't need to depend on anyone, because we are not getting the same hospitalities as the one that Ukraine people do have at the moment in this conflict between Ukraine and Russia. For an example, let us talk about Africa. Something astonishing happened this week. A Kenyan president, William Ruto, speaking to the parliament, saying that Kenya from now on will start trading in the local currency and not in the US dollar, which they've been doing so for so many decades. Wow. Holy smoke. The clouds are forming on the sky. This sounds very interesting for Africans, but at the same time, the clouds are falling somewhere there in the US. Have listened for yourself to this powerful speech President Ruto had given.
From Djibouti, selling to Kenya, or traders from Kenya selling to Djibouti, have to look for US dollars. How is US dollars part of the trade between Djibouti and Kenya? Why? And we are not against the US dollar. We just want to trade much more freely. Let us pay in US dollars what we are buying from the US. But what we are buying from Djibouti, let's use local currency.
Let me put this simple question to you. What role does US dollar have to play between two currencies, one from Kenya and another from Djibouti? What role does it have to play? And this has been happening for far too long, that the US dollar been playing the role of transferring between one country to another country. For what reasons? Was it that Africans were incapable of us having one currency? Was it that Africans who could not be able to trade among ourselves with our own currency? I even wonder why all this generation have to let this kind of things going on. Guess what? Africa is waking up. Yes, you heard me correct. Africa is moving way faster from the US dollar than we could have imagined. We've been kept under the tongue of the Western, US and NATO for so long. But now it is about time to change things around. African nations are now embracing regional integration because we want to take control of everything that belongs to us. Africans are now asking to work together as neighbors by asking each and neighboring country to reduce the trade among the US dollar and focus to trade only among African currency. Goodbye US dollar. It is about time you leave Africa. And just in this same week, see on how Zambian politicians had to explain on how the US has been exploiting, raping and stealing from Africa for so many years. Now Africans are asking for an autonomy, thinking that Russia and China, they are the best partner to deal with than the US with it alone.
A few months ago, we had a democracy summit in Zambia where it was basically a Western and a US-led conference to draw back cooperation with both China and Russia for the African continent. They want to always dictate to us who our friends should be, who Africa should cooperate with. And they're willing to topple governments, to assassinate our leaders for this.
Wait a second. Is that a fake news what she just said? The United States has been toppling African government in order to exploit them. Of course, this will sound very fake to them. Do you know why? Of course, because it is things that they are hiding and they don't want the world to know about it. They don't want their mafia to be revealed on how they've been killing African leaders in order for them to reign and loot Africa as they want. Don't worry about that. Of course, it is the truth. They've been killing African leaders in order for them to take control of Africa. In fact, the list of African leaders that they have killed so far is too long to count. But here's only one example. This is Patrice Emery Lumumba, who's the first Prime Minister of the Republic Democratic of Congo. And he was in that title for only 4 months, from June to September 1960, before he was killed by the Western. Yes, the West assassinated him. Do you know what he did in order for him to deserve to be killed by the Western? Well, he was elected on a platform in order to keep Congolese mineral by themselves as the owners and not to share with the Western. All because you want to get rid of the Western. Even told the Western that we are no longer your monkeys. Yes, he said that. He told the Western to get out of our country, get out of our minds, get out of our face, get out of our economy, get out of our minerals. And the West, they were like, yeah, we hear you, we're going to leave. And they did leave physically, but the Western power stays in its mind. He even begged the United Nations for help on top of it. Of course, they did ignore him. Then Congo decided to be in charge of its own mineral by start selling it on their place of their choice to the client of their wishes. That is what went on and dig the craziness of the Western. They decided to eliminate Lumumba. And they did so by collaborating with Belgium, who was also involved in Congolese mining, and they went on and planned on how to eliminate Patrice Emery Lumumba. So you now see on how this works. Then the United States went on and installed a puppet government. Since then, Democratic Republic of Congo never be the same again. I can go so on and so on with different countries, with different leaders that these people they had eliminated in Africa in order for them to control their mineral resource. Let's talk about Sudan. The Sudanese, they are about to engage themselves in a civil war. This civil war, it is the Western who are behind it, and they are hiding behind the Sudanese armies between two generals who want to kill themselves, but yet they are not killing themselves. They are busy killing their own people. Do you have any idea of what is happening in Darfur? Guys, people are killing each other there, all because of one culture to another culture that they don't get along. All because of these two generals who are fighting. They are both from different cultures. One from Darfur, another one, I don't know from which culture they are. And yet now they are busy sacrificing people of Sudan. Just imagine that. All because of power. And this power is coming from the Western, who have to come and propose you with guns, with bombs, with rockets, with all things, saying that we're going to support you, we're going to supply you, as they are doing in Ukraine, of course. We're going to supply you, you're going to win, you're going to be becoming the president of this country, but you have to work for our benefit. You have to be there as our puppet. You have to do exactly what we'll tell you to do. That is the reason why you get to see people of Sudan, they are fighting. Real Africans, we don't fight. Africans, we can't fight among ourselves, because when we're fighting among ourselves, it's like we're killing ourselves. So many Africans have understood the game of the Western on how they get inside Africa and put Africans among themselves in conflict, so that them they'll be able to loot and do whatsoever pleases them. That is the reason why Africans are now waking up and turning their back against the US with NATO and seek for help to Russia and China, because Africans are tired of slavery. Africans, they are now want the true independence. Africans, they want the independence of their mineral. Africans, they want the independence of their land. Africans, they want the independence of their minings. They want that freedom to sell their mineral resources to anyone they feel like selling. They want that freedom to be able to choose whom they would feel like have to be their friends. And that same politician from Zambia, she said that we are tired of being explored each and every time by the Western. Akende Mamende Shamamba, it is a name. She said that Africa, it has learned its lesson, and now it's about time to turn our backs to the Western and look for someone better out there to deal with, someone who can be a good partner for Africa.
Africa is a hub for natural resources. It has always been for the West. And now Africa has multiple options. Africa doesn't have to succumb to a bad deal that we get from the Western countries. Africa has choice now. We're moving to a multipolar world, and it's very clear that Africa now has many options. Cooperation with the West is not our only option. BRICS is opening doors for the African continent to say that even when it comes to financing, when it comes to infrastructure development, when it comes to a future for Africa, we've got different options today. So this doesn't sit well with the West.
Hesh is from Zambia. But do you still remember the diplomat from Zimbabwe, what she said? This diplomat from Zimbabwe, she was very clear by sending this loud message to the US with its alliance, saying that Africa, we are fed up and the US should know already that.
If this was a basketball game, the United States needed to call for timeout. For US needed to realize that this is a new game and it required new rules of engagement. The United States can begin to realize it's no longer business as usual. It's no longer a case of the United States saying, we make policy and we tell the Africans. That has got to change. It is a serious problem. The United States must understand that Africans are not going to take it anymore. If you don't treat the Africans fairly, the United States is going to see itself slowly losing ground to China, to Russia, to all other nations, because without respecting the Africans, without treating the Africans as equal, without understanding that exploitation and abuse of Africa simply cannot continue.
Now tell me for yourself, how would Africans not to turn their backs against US and face someone else whom they feel that they can cooperate with, someone who can have that respect for them? The US, what they've been doing all these years is to treat African leaders as trash, and they never had any respect for Africans. Here is another easy example that I want to share with you. Look at here. This is the current president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, President Tshisekedi. In his official visit in the United States of America, where he was welcomed in this kind of way. Guys, we're talking about a head of the state of the most richest country in the world, because most of the things that Americans use today or need today to develop, whether it is gun, whether it is their economy, whether whatsoever they need, Apple, MacBook, whatsoever item they have to get it from the DRC. But yet, when the head of the state of DRC had to visit there, he was welcomed in this manner without a red carpet, welcomed by some US officers instead of Biden himself. And that did not happen only once, but twice, with the same treatment, whereby he was invited over there, knowing that he would be welcomed by his homologue, Biden. Instead, he was surprised to find that they had to send the state secretary, and those are the people whom he had to engage with.
But we have a range of shared priorities that we'll continue to discuss, including free and fair elections next year, finding concrete solutions to sustainable development for the DRC, protecting the Congo Basin, which we've had good conversations about, and of course, peace in Eastern DRC, which we're determined to support and help pursue. Earlier today, we also signed, I think, a significant memorandum of understanding with Zambia, and I think this is a very powerful evidence of possibilities for the future and the central role that DRC can play in actually finding for everyone a clean energy future. So, Mr. President, thank you for the time. Thank you for being here today. It's very good to have you in Washington.
Listening to their promises and what they have done so far, there is nothing that they have achieved to the people of Congo. In short, all this was just empty promises, because it was just a message which they were trying to send to other partners which are supposed to be working with people of Congo. Now look here. This is the same president of the Democratic Republic of Congo being welcomed in China and see the hospitality and in the manner that they had welcomed him. Now tell me for yourself, if you were a president and you received this kind of welcome from two different states, what will you do? Who will you choose to work with in this case? Who would you like to sell your mineral to? Who would you pay attention to what they are saying? I believe the choice is more clear. And this is the same method that is being applied around Africa as we're talking at the moment. African leaders are now waking up and they don't want to entertain any negative thought from the US or the Western. Guys, there is no African leaders who want to be treated as a puppet. There is no African leaders who would like to be seen his name being criticized all because he's working in favor of the Western. All African leaders are now more focused and they are trying to defend themselves and they're trying to defend Africa continent. Whenever there is order which is coming from the Western, these African leaders, they don't want to pay attention to. Whenever the Western, they're trying to play a certain propaganda, these African leaders, they're not giving up in. Remember what the president of Ghana, President Nana, had said in his state visit in France? Do you still remember also what President Tshisekedi had said to Macron when he visited the DRC this year? What about Yoweri Museveni, the president of Uganda, who had to challenge them in the open eye of the whole world? When the Western, they were trying to show to the world how they can get to lead Africa from far. But this Ugandan president, Yoweri Museveni, stood and spoke back to them without fear.
Ebitingwa. That's what the Banyankole call what they call homosexuals. It is good that you rejected the pressure from the imperialists. And this is what I told them. Whenever they come to me, I say, you please shut up. Europe is lost. So they also want us to be lost. But in order to fight, we must be patriotic. If we are parasitic in mind, a mind of a parasite, there's no way you can fight. That's how you become a prostitute. Because you fear sacrifice, you fear difficulties. Somebody says, I will give you money if you become a prostitute. Those who like easy life end up as prostitutes. And that's what they want us to be. They want Africa to be prostitutes.
What about President Ramaphosa? After listening to all the threat and the pressure that the Western are putting on the ICC in order for them to arrest Vladimir Putin in his arriving in South Africa, forgetting that Vladimir Putin is the head of the state, but they had to come and impose it on South Africa because they know South Africa is the right place for them to put down Vladimir Putin. This was not something that any other African leaders back in days was gonna just ignore it and not saying something about it. But President Ramaphosa had the courage to come and tell them that, look, you can't tell us what to do in our country. You can't tell us how to live life in our country because South Africa, it is a sovereign country. So don't involve us in your matters between Russia and NATO because we all know what is this war all about.
And this, I will say it once again today, South Africa has not been and will not be drawn into a contest between global powers. We will maintain our position on the peaceful resolution of conflict wherever those conflicts occur.
With all this being said, guys, not one thing for sure is that, as I always tell you time to time, for those who always watch us, that Africans were on our own. And I like for the fact that I get to read all your comments from all over Africa, even around the world, that Africans are now more focused, Africans are now waking up, Africans are now passing the message that we want to be independent and live our life. We want to live our life according to the United Nations Charter. And that's how it's supposed to be. So I'm so proud for the fact that all these African leaders, they are now kind of like having the courage to come out and speak their mind. I know President Ruto of Kenya will receive some pressures because we know that's how these people they are. The moment you try to open your eyes, the moment you want to stand against them, that is when they will start now challenging you. They'll start proposing some sanctions which they would like to impose on you. We saw it, they did it with Muammar Gaddafi. We saw it, they did it with Robert Mugabe. We saw it, they did it with so many African leaders who had tried to fight for African continent to raise up. We saw how they get to even eliminate some of African leaders. Unfortunately for them, it is no more the case in our days, because today, before you get to eliminate an African leaders, you must be ready to face Africans, because we're going to fight you. The death of Muammar Gaddafi, it had opened the eyes of each and every African leaders out there. Africans, they have understood that whenever you try to go against this Western, you must be ready to face them. You must be ready to be killed by them, because they'll even use some people who are close to you to come and eliminate you, as they did with Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara was assassinated by his own best friend, because they want to use his friends as a puppet president, and they succeeded to do that. But what happened later on, where is President Blaise at the moment? No one even knows where he is, because he's on a run. He can't even step into his country, because he have destroyed the little respect that he had for himself. People of Burkina Faso can't even commemorate or say something good about him, because this man had left them with a damaged brain, had left them with damaged memories. Whenever they see him, they had to think of Thomas Sankara. So in our days, it is impossible even for them to do something like that. That is the reason why they're trying to threaten this government or these African leaders with sanctions, as they're doing with the Uganda president Yoweri Museveni, and they are doing so with many African leaders out there. We stand by those African leaders who are fighting for Africa continent. President Ruto of Kenya should not be afraid of anyone, because he have the support of Africans. I'm not a Kenyan, but yet I'm supporting him because I believe he's my brother and is doing something good for our future generation to come. Therefore, we will have to stand together as Africans against all this mafia of the Western, and try to expose them out there to everyone around the world, so that each and every country, even in Asia, they'll get to run away from them. Their time is over. What does not last? Hitler trained for so many years, and he killed more than 2 million white people. No one spoke about it. King Leopold from Belgium killed more than 20 millions of Africans, cut their arms, destroying them. Who spoke about it? Of course, no one is talking about it. And no one even ever tried to apologize about it. That is only one of African countries. But do you know how many countries in Africa that have been a victim from this open eye mass system? Whether it is with their mining, whether it is with their mineral resource, no one have ever have the courage to come and apologize about what they have done wrong to Africans. So therefore, that time is over. This is the new generation, and we're going to do things differently. We're going to make these people get the respect of Africans. We're going to make these people have respect for our mineral. We're going to make these people to treat us as a true partners and not as slaves. We're going to make these people to understand that the African child is no more the same African child that they had colonized back in days. Things have changed around. Thank you so much for watching this video. This was a very interesting message that I decided to share with you in this video, because you can sit and wait and wake up, sleep as much as you want. CNN and the BBC will never gonna talk about this, because these are their media. These media are there to distract you. They are there to make you not open your eyes. They are there to make you not realize of what is happening. They are there to not you make understand how they are lying and looting Africa. Therefore, we are here to make sure that we share all the details information that we have, all the research that we can get to make to the left and right. We have to bring it here so that we can share it together as Africans and be all in the same page. If you did find anything beneficial in this video, please don't leave without giving us your thumbs up. It will really help us to reach even more big audience out there. But if this is your first time to watch our videos, well, you are welcome. This is your home. This is a home of Africans, where we get to educate, we get to talk about matters that are benefiting Africans around the world. We get to talk about things that will make you realize that you are Africans and you have something that the world is looking for. So if you don't want to miss any of our videos, just make sure that you subscribe to the channel right now and follow us in our social medias, so that you don't get to miss any of our videos, because this is what you deserve to know, and if it is not here, you're not gonna find it anywhere else. My name is Dopsy Nyembe. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video until now. For now, continue to be yourself, be kind, be good, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon. Ciao, ciao.
Saludos.